Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, and in what is seemingly becoming a bit of a tradition, we have a pair of new 25th anniversary cards to be taking a little bit of a look at today, a new special set old school card, and a brand new card which is actually going to be legal for tournament play. We do have a new Reshiram to talk about. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I think first we've got to talk about Mewtwo EX. Now, remember, and I give this warning every time, so I will be quick, but for those of you that don't know, remember that Celebrations is really two sets in one. Over in Japan, you buy 25th anniversary sets that only have the regular cards in. For every 4 packs of that you buy, you get one promo booster, and that promo booster will have one of these special set cards in. 1 card per booster, 1 booster per 4 packs. Over here we have Celebrations that will have the special set cards seeded in. We do not know what the pull rates are, and honestly the pull rates of the special set in Celebrations packs is going to go a long way to deciding how good this set actually is. If they're nice and high, I'm going to buy so much of this set. If they're not, then I'm going to buy a lot less, and I suspect a bunch of other people are as well. But these old school cards, these special set cards, are older cards which are literally being reprinted in this new style. And if you're looking for an EX Pokemon, that is to say Big E, Big X, the Gen 5 and 6 EXs rather than the Gen 3, there is nothing, and I mean nothing as iconic as Mewtwo EX. Now, for those of you wondering, yes, an argument can be made for Darkrai EX. These two really are on the top of the pile, so to speak. Mewtwo EX and Darkrai EX are the big two, and it's really not even close. Seismitoad probably comes in third place. It's not as iconic as Mewtwo and Darkrai, though it is still a pretty iconic card, let's be clear. But if you're looking at Big E, Big X, the Gen 5 and 6 EXs, there is nothing on the level of Mewtwo. And if they were picking one Gen 5, Gen 6 EX, it's annoying because the Gen 3 Little E, Little X are also EXs, so we do need to try and differentiate between them. But if you're looking for EXs and you want to put EXs in this set, you have to go Mewtwo. Mewtwo was a card that when it was released, full-on transformed the format. Also, I love that these old school cards give me a chance to do little mini history videos, because I get a lot of feedback about the history videos and how people like them, and that's basically what we do here. You know, the first half is like a history video looking at Mewtwo, and the second half is a card reveal looking at Reshiram, and I know people like the history videos, so yay! So Mewtwo then came out in next, Destinies. And the thing that makes Mewtwo so gosh darn good is the attack X-Ball. 20 damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon and the defending Pokemon. But it's worth pointing out that at the time, 180 was about as high as hit points got. So this added up extremely quickly. Not to mention at the time we still had double colourless energy, which was very important. So you could just attach a double colourless energy to Mewtwo and use X-Ball immediately. Plus power was also very big at the time, and we had a whole bunch of decks that were just built around getting Mewtwo going, where pretty much the entire point of the deck was, I'm going to get Mewtwo and we're going to win. And it's basically as simple as that. It was initially played with Celebi. The theory was that because it didn't need to be any specific kind of energy, Celebi could attach extra grass, and that worked nicely. We saw it played a lot with Electric, which could accelerate lightning energy. That was absolutely a thing. We saw it with Pachirisu and Shaman. Pachirisu, when you benched it, you attached 2 extra energy, and then Shaman could move them over. That was a very you won early or you didn't win kind of deck. It fizzled pretty quickly, but it was, still won Canadian Nationals, I believe, one year. It was still pretty cool. So, yeah, Mewtwo was absolutely huge. And the thing that made Mewtwo so huge is that the best counter to Mewtwo was Mewtwo. So you would have the Mewtwo Wars. The general rule was a Mewtwo with a double colourless could be KO'd either by a Mewtwo with a double colourless and a plus power, or a Mewtwo with free energy. And like we've said, Mewtwo was played in a whole bunch of decks that could accelerate energy. We saw at the 2012 World Championships that Mewtwo Darkrai decks were pretty much the top cut. It was like 7 of the top 8 or something stupid were Mewtwo Darkrai decks. It really was a huge card. What was super interesting, if you lived in Europe, was that Next Destinies was released in English on February the 8th, 2012. And there was a European Challenge Cup 2012, which happened very, very, very shortly afterwards. It actually happened on the 18th of February, which means there were 10 days between the release of the set and the European Challenge Cup, and Mewtwo was legal for that tournament. And bearing in mind, that's 10 days including travelling to the Netherlands. I ended up doing very well at that tournament. Okay, I finished in 33rd place. It was a top 32. I lost on resistance. I had the right number of points, but my resistance put me in 33rd place. Not that I'm still salty about it, 9 years later, 9.5 years later at this stage. My point is, I did well at that tournament because I had free Mewtwo. And there were multiple people at that tournament that did the same. There was a game that I was playing where I had a Mewtwo. My opponent KO'd my Mewtwo with theirs. I dropped a second Mewtwo and their face fell because they only had one Mewtwo. It wasn't just when it was first released, though. This was an extremely iconic card, and it did just rule the game for years. If you're going to pick an EX, this is the best one to pick. So whoever's in charge of picking these cards, this was a good choice. But as well as Mewtwo, we have a Reshiram, and it is a brand new Reshiram as well. Now, this does have a regulation mark and everything. It's going to be legal for tournament play. What do we see? Well, we got 130 HP, which is the right side of the 120-130. So things like Rapid Strike, Urshifu will not get an easy KO, which is rather nice. And it's got a retreat cost of 3, which is kind of annoying, and it's fire type, which means weakness on stuff like Zacian, but also weakness on stuff like Leafeon, which is proving to be a really good deck. So I underestimated Leafeon initially. The lovely Antoine Boulet told me that I was wrong to be down on Leafeon, and it looks like Antoine might have been right about that one. Incidentally, guess who gave us our translation? The lovely Antoine Boulet. And what we've got here is 2 energy, and the attack does 20 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And my question here, did it need to just be the bench? Why could this not have also hit the active? Why are they deliberately stopping us hitting the active here? Does it really make that much of a difference? And I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm not sure it does. Of course, this then becomes very, very reminiscent of that first Tapu Koko that we got. We got a couple of different prints of that. The one that, for 2 colorless energy, did 20 damage to all of your opponent's Pokemon, including the active. Now, it had 20 less HP, which was relevant, but it also had free retreat, which was super relevant, because having a free retreating Pokemon to use as a pivot is clearly a good thing, but also, it's worth pointing out that you sit there, you spread, oh, wait, no, spreading time is over, I'm going to retreat and let you go for it. And that's kind of sad that we don't have free retreat here. But the fact of the matter is that Tapu Koko saw a huge amount of play, so this, in theory, shouldn't be terrible. Incidentally, we've talked about the fact that these cards seem to be essentially homages to cards that saw a bunch of play. There shouldn't really be any question here. This is clearly, this first attack, it's clearly an homage to Flying Flip. It's got to be an homage to Flying Flip. So I like it, and bearing in mind that Mew is rotating out of the standard format, so it's going to be easier to do that bench damage, and we've still got Twin Energy, which will allow you to essentially do this for a single energy attachment, which is clearly a very good thing, but I'm just not convinced we're in that format at the moment. We've got Noivern V that for a single energy will do 20 damage to everything and does have free retreat, which I think is pretty relevant. So, I know it's a 2-prize Pokemon and it uses colored energy, but it's single energy with free retreat and hits the active as well. I'd rather probably use Noivern if I'm honest with you. Although having said that, I showed you Crabominable V the other day, and Crabominable V has got a redonkulous attack that for free water energy does 90 damage plus 60 for each damage counter on the defending Pokemon. And we talked about the fact that 2 damage counters is basically what you need to KO a Pokemon V, and 4 is what you need to KO a Pokemon V Max. So actually, that's kind of relevant. This could be good there. So maybe in a deck like that, this could work. I feel it's a little bit too slow and a little bit too weak nowadays. I don't think it's going to have the impact that Tapu Koko had. As for the second attack, free energy, 80 damage, but if Zekrom is on your bench, you do 80 more. I like the whole Reshiram and Zekrom thing going on. It's very much in line with the games. But what I'm basically going to tell you here is that this is not enough. 160 is not a key number anymore, 220 is the key number. 220 gets Pokemon Vs. And the general rule of thumb is, if you're putting multiple energy on a Pokemon, if you're really putting resources into a Pokemon, you need to be getting a one-hit KO on Pokemon Vs. 160 will get single prize Pokemon. It's not enough. Not to mention the fact that Welder is now rotated out, and it is the 10th of September, happy rotation day. So rotation has happened. So Welder is officially gone now. So getting the free energy on is awkward, and even when you do, you need the Zekrom on the bench, and even when you do, 160 is not enough. It is not a key number anymore. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, this is not enough. If you're playing this, it is for the first attack. And to be clear, this first attack is a really nice, good first attack. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I'm worried it's not quite enough. So let's go ahead and give it 3 Wassies. Useful, interesting, potential, but I don't think it's going to be a top tier card. Though I would love to be wrong, because who doesn't like Reshiram? But whether you do like Reshiram or not, I want to hear from you. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourself till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.